I'm attorney Benjamin Mesiti. In this video, we're going to discuss your questions about driving under the influence. The information I'll be giving you applies particularly to the state of Rhode Island, but you should always consult a local attorney who can verify that this information applies to your particular case and advise you on any changes in the law that may have been made. In this particular video, we're going to be discussing the field sobriety test. That's the test where you're asked to stand on one leg, walk and turn, and follow the pen with your eyes. If you're stopped in the state of Rhode Island for suspicion of drunk driving, you do not have to take the field sobriety test, and there's no penalty for doing so. In fact, you have a constitutional right not to take the test. If you choose to refuse this test, do so politely. The officer is there to enforce the law, so respect his or her position, and they will be much more likely to respect yours. Now, refusing this test is not to be confused with refusing the breathalyzer test, which may carry harsh penalties for refusing, but we'll discuss more about that in another video. If you do consent to the field sobriety test, you will be asked to perform a series of tests that are designed to give the officer an indication of whether or not you will be impaired to drive a motor vehicle. Here are some tips to remember while performing these tests. First, listen carefully to all of the officer's instructions. Do not assume that you know what the officer is going to ask you to do. The officer is looking for several clues to indicate your potential impairment. Listen carefully to the instructions, and that will give you a better idea of what the officer is looking for while you perform the tests. Do not start the test before you are told to do so. This is one of the clues that police are trained to observe as an indication of your impairment. Inform the officer of any medical conditions that would prevent you from successfully completing these tests. Some of those conditions could include joint problems in your ankles, knees, hips, back problems, bone spurs, obesity or muscle impairment or muscle mobility problems. The officer should note these problems in his or her report. But if you tell the officer that you do not have any problems, that will also be noted in the report, and it will be more difficult to dispute later. If you fail the field sobriety test, it is likely that you will be arrested and taken to the police station and asked to submit to a breathalyzer test. We'll discuss more about that in another video in this 3-part series. If you've been charged with a DUI in Rhode Island, call a Rhode Island DUI lawyer 24 hours a day at 401-274-3331. For more helpful videos, subscribe to Rhode Island Lawyer on YouTube.